You're listening to The Dating Den with dating and relationship badass and best-selling author Marni Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important dating, sex, and relationship issues you want to know about. So if you're ready for true talk that's authentic and unfiltered, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
The Dating Den, episode 50 with Jane. I've done all the work on myself. Can you help me fix my picker now, please? Ladies, welcome back to Ye Old Dating Den. I'm super happy to be here today because it's an episode where I get to coach an amazing, badass woman to help her find love. And today we have Jane, who is with us in the den from Oz, all the way from Australia. And she is, like very many of you, a very smart, very big-hearted, successful woman who has not been able to sort of bust out of her unhealthy relationship patterns, even though she's checked the boxes sort of in every other part of her life. And so we are here to help her figure out today what might be that last 10% that's keeping her stuck. So Jane, welcome to the den.
Thank you, Marni. Nice to be here.
I'm super excited to have you. So tell me this, you were listening to some of my work, and what caught your ear was this last 10, there's this last 10%. Tell me about that. Why did that resonate to you?
Oh, because I've done so much inner work on myself after having a lifetime of bad relationships, really unhealthy, toxic relationships. So I'm trying to find a space within myself where I believe and know and change my energy to attract a healthy man. So it's just doing a little bit more inner work and shifting some beliefs around relationships, I think, for me.
I think this is a really important piece, and so I'm so happy that you kind of volunteered your time here, because we hear this, if you're listening, I've done so much work on myself, like good work, not just shit work, there's the reading the books and buying the t-shirt, and then there's actually slogging it out in therapy or going to workshops or whatever, and still being super frustrated that there's this last little bit. So when we were talking before the show, you had an idea of what that last 10% might be. Do you mind sharing what that is?
Yeah, no, that's fine. All the inner work I've done is around building up my self-esteem, and intellectually, in my mind, I know I'm so deserving and worthy of love, but it hasn't sort of become a feeling within me yet. So energetically, I know I have to. It's not an intellectual thing. It's not a logical thing. It's got to be a feeling thing. So I don't quite have that feeling yet.
That's actually a really big nuance. And the one thing that I also want to point out here, which I think is really awesome, is you use the word, self-esteem. And there's, in many ways, there's this little detail, right? In that often for us, self-esteem is conditional, right? I got the job, the guy likes me, someone said I look pretty today, right? So I feel good about myself when. And what we're really looking for is self-worth, and self-worth is unconditional. And what you said that's so important is it's not just a thought, it's a feeling, it's a belief, it's something that with all of you, there is no dark night of the soul where you're maybe what's wrong with me? Why is this happening to me? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I've already been through that really dark night of the soul. So coming out of a really, really bad toxic marriage, I had to rebuild my whole self-esteem, which is what I've done. And I know my own worth, and I know I'm so deserving of unconditional love. And intellectually, logically, I believe that, but it still hasn't quite become a feeling inside of me. I think it's because somewhere inside of me I still don't feel like I'm good enough or that I'm worthy, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's that I want to shift.
Yes.
Because I know that I am, but I just don't quite feel it yet.
Well, right. And you got to feel it and believe it, like from the core, from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, to really change how you show up when you're dating. So
in the core of my being. Yeah.
So one thing that you've shared is that, you had a really, really crap marriage with a really, an unusually unhealthy dude, and that you've been married twice. So when you think about, putting yourself back out there, what are some of the beliefs that you have? Like, what are some of the fears, the concerns? What shows up for you?
My biggest fear is that because this has been a pattern of over my lifetime, so I'm middle-aged and I keep attracting the same man. So my biggest fear is that I'll keep attracting the same man. So, of course, what do I bring into my life? The same man.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what happens is there's like a push-pull. Right? Yeah. Because you want it, but the lizard part of your brain is actually terrified because your belief system says, relationship is not safe.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
So the other piece that you put on your intake form was about your dad.
Yes.
And, again, everyone, is aware of their daddy issues, so to speak. But your dad, we don't need to go into all the details, but to put it mildly, your father was absolutely emotionally unavailable, yeah?
Yes, he was very, very toxic.
Yeah.
Abusive, emotionally unavailable.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your mom,
not pretty,
you said, was super codependent. So how did she show up in that relationship? Like, what was her role with your dad? And then how was she available for you?
Codependency and narcissism, they sort of all go hand in hand. So in many ways, she wasn't available to me or my brother and sister because when you're with a narcissist, it's all about them. So her codependency was catering to him all the time. So it's a very one-sided relationship. And unfortunately, with narcissism, the children have to cater to the narcissist as well. So a narcissist isn't capable of love. Mm-hmm. And when you're kind of stuck in that situation, because I too was codependent, I'm still recovering from it. I lost myself and I'm finding myself again. So it's just bad patterns of behaviour, of relating.
Right. So there you are. You're this, this little girl, and you have a father who's emotionally unavailable, incapable, and you're seeing sort of your mom, right? And so did you ever, what was your role in the family? Were you the mediator? Were you the good girl? Were you the rebel? What was the role that you took on to sort of try and set yourself up to get love and approval?
The role that I took on was, I was the really good girl. I kept quiet all the time. I didn't make much noise. I did sort of everything he asked to get his approval more than anything. I felt like I was a bit of a ghost, ignored a lot. Yeah, so I didn't do the rebel thing. I wasn't the scapegoat.
Okay. So your role was, be the good girl, do what everyone says, and that's how I can get like praise. That's how the quieter the more invisible I am, the less effort it takes to sort of take care of me, the more likely that I'll get like approval or get validation and try and get love that way. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and what is it that you want me to do? And I'll do it, hoping I'll get love and approval. And, so just doing whatever it was that they wanted, not being able to say no.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what's an interesting piece, Jane, is that what happens when we sort of grow up with whatever dynamic we do. And I interviewed Dr. Sheldon Cardner, for those of you that want to grab that podcast for like a deeper dive on this whole piece of work. But the main point is that ultimately then that is how we define love.
Yeah.
Right? We define love as hard to get. We come up with a whole set of like rules and assumptions and beliefs, right? Like the cooler I am, the more low key I am, the better I perform, right? Then maybe that's the way that I will get love. So then what happens, right? And Jane totally did this, right? She kept recreating in her relationships that followed, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So here's what's really important is that if you look at that one shift, that 110% that you need to make, what would it look like, Jane, if you shifted completely the way you view relationship, the way you define love, and you removed this piece that says, I have to be invisible, right? The quieter I am, then that's how I get love. Like if you just completely got that paradigm out of your reality, what would be different in all your relationships?
It'd be the total opposite of what I've ever had. So I'd be able to feel to be able to be authentically myself and still accepted, I guess, for the person who I am. And it wouldn't always be about them and what they wanted. I'd be able to say, no, I don't want to do that, or no, I'm going to go and do this, but still know that they'd be there and I'd be accepted. So it would be the total opposite of the love relationships I've had. I have been on a couple of dates recently, and I have learnt to say no. So, but the men who I've dated, which hasn't been many, they don't like the word no coming from me. So then they just disappear out of my life, which is okay because I know that they're not right for me. But what I do know is when I do find and attract a healthy man, when I say no, he'll like me enough to still want to be around me. But I just want to be more authentically myself. I've already got the mindset that if, he goes away, he's not right for me. And that's all good for me.
But here's the thing, and this is the, I think the missing piece for you is that you continue to attract these guys who you do like a little baby step of like setting boundaries and using your voice, right? And saying what you want. But oh, how convenient. They're not really the right guys, so they leave.
Yeah.
So you never really have to step into what's going to feel super, super uncomfortable, right? Like expressing what you want, having conflict, stating your needs, receiving love, being vulnerable, right? Like the last thing someone does when they feel emotionally unsafe in their childhood and other relationships is let their guard down.
Absolutely. That's me. I've got my shield up.
Okay. So in order to redefine what relationship feels like for you, you're going to have to do like 10 things that feel super, super uncomfortable.
Yep.
So what will it take? What's one thing that you could do that would allow you to trust yourself that you are emotionally safe?
Is just to keep trusting myself.
Okay, so what's evidence? So let's collect some evidence that you can trust yourself, that you're very, very different. What are some examples of ways in your life even with the guys that disappeared, but what are new things? How are you different from the last time you were sort of looking for a relationship?
Oh, I'm just so more closed off now. I'm looking for red flags a lot. So, and one of the guys that I did attract into my life, I do believe he was very, very unhealthy. So what I'm doing more now is when a guy approaches me, I more observe him. So I practice a little bit of mindfulness. If I see any signs of him being disrespectful to other people, so I'm sort of open but closed in a way. I don't really sort of know what to do, I guess. Well, I just trust my instincts when I meet somebody.
So I want to reframe that, because when you're self-identifying as I have my guard up, you're going to attract somebody who's not safe.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I would rather have you reframe that is that, I'm starting to, like you said at the end, I'm starting to trust myself so I can be more discerning.
Yeah. Yep.
So that allows you to go out there and with your heart open, but you're paying attention, right? In the past, you ignored the flags, right? You didn't speak up.
Yeah.
You say nothing. You get quiet. You hope it gets better. But that's not Jane like 3.0, right? So some evidence that you have that you can be emotionally safe is that you are now discerning. Right?
Yeah.
You know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You have boundaries.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, I do.
Okay. So if you have, let's just say those are 3 beginner qualities, and maybe there's 3 more that you want to get really strong on. But if there's those 3 beginner qualities and you bring those into a relationship, what's going to be different? How can you show up with your heart open and also keep yourself emotionally safe?
Oh, I don't know what the other 3 would be, Marni.
Okay, well, don't worry about the other 3. Let's just focus on the 3 we've got.
Okay, so I'm more discerning. I'm more trusting of myself. So
you recognize flags and you have boundaries.
Yeah. I'll feel okay. I'll be fine. So I think maybe I should just go in as myself, be authentically me, express what I think and what I feel, assertively, but still be discerning. And if it's not right, I'll walk away from it, which is what I've basically been doing.
Okay, so pause there. So this is really important, Jane. So what is the reason that you're walking away? What's different? What do you have that now points you in the exit direction when something doesn't feel right?
Because it doesn't feel right. If something feels really off, or the last guy I was seeing, I just didn't feel like he was a good fit for me, in the sense that he didn't have any future goals. Financially, he wasn't secure for himself, even though he had a good job. And so there were some things that just values, I guess, is what I'm talking about. He didn't share the same sort of values as me.
Okay.
So
because of that, so I really want you to see this. So you're starting to make different choices in real life, not just theory, not just what you've learned in therapy, right? But what is the reason? Why are you choosing to move on, to make different choices, to trust yourself? Because what's going on in how you feel about yourself?
Generally, I feel really good about myself. Really, really good about myself.
Okay, pause there. Don't give me the disclaimer. There's no but. Okay, why do you feel good about yourself?
Oh, because I love myself so much.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so pause. So you love yourself. Right? So look, I'm stacking evidence why you're safe. You actually love yourself. And guess what? You are taking action that is self-loving.
Yep.
You're setting boundaries. You're moving on. You're stating what you need. You're not keeping quiet.
Yep.
Okay. So what else do you need to know, Jane? Or what else needs to happen for you to really feel that you are worthy and that you are safe so that you can start attracting men who will actually give you what you want and break that long pattern?
Oh, this is the missing piece that I just can't
Take a guess. Take a guess. What do you need?
Oh, I need a guy who feels that way about himself, who loves himself.
So wait, I want to back it up.
Yeah.
I want to back it up because the wrong answer is I'll feel good about myself when I meet a guy who feels good about himself.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is all you, girl. So what do you need? What's missing? Maybe there's nothing. I don't know. What is it that's going to make you finally believe and feel?
I know.
What is it?
I know. I've got to let go of the fear. I've got to let go of fear. Fear of just being rejected, and it's fear. It's got something to do with fear, I think, with me.
Yeah. Okay. So to let go of that fear, to have courage, give me 4 pieces of evidence or 4 reasons why now is the time you can let go of the fear.
Because I've got nothing to lose by doing it.
Right. Why do you have nothing to lose? Why do you have nothing to lose?
Because I trust in myself to know that I'll see a bad guy, and I trust in myself to know that I'll see a good guy. Either way, I'll be okay. So I've just got to let go of fear. It's just fear that is holding me back. I so know this.
Yeah, right.
Already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fear is what's holding, but it's the story, right? So it's the sad story of Jane, right? And her shitty father who was a narcissist, and her, codependent mom, and the two, blah, 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 right? So
yeah, but I'm not a victim anymore. I was only a victim when I was a child. I don't hold that victim mentality.
Okay, so you're not holding the victim mentality. So start acting like the victor. The only way you don't hold the victim energy is if you start doing something differently.
Yep. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does.
What's the question mark in your mind?
Sorry, Marni?
What's the question? You're like, yeah, but there's a question. What's the question that's lingering?
How do I do that?
How do you do what?
How do I authentically show up as that?
Well, that's great. So how do you show up as a woman whose heart is open, who trusts herself?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah. I've somehow got to feel like that. So maybe I already do. This is interesting.
Well, that's why, I think you're onto something, right? Because that's why I said the story is what's keeping you stuck. You already do feel that way. If you just shed like that last layer of the onion, this little thread that is staying attached. You said, I'm over that victim story. Okay, so then you're safe.
Oh.
You are safe.
I'm starting to get it.
Yeah. So
I'm starting to see, yeah.
So one of my favorite questions to ask is it okay to feel safe if I am safe?
Oh, that just makes so much sense. Yeah. Yeah. That makes so much sense. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm almost in tears.
Oh. You're safe.
Yeah. I'm safe because I trust myself. Oh, here we go. Here come the waterworks. Thank you for that.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. So, you want some homework?
Yes.
Okay.
I love homework.
Okay, great.
I love working on myself.
Good. So what I want you to do is I want you to install this new identity of I am safe. So if you were to give yourself, I'll just call it like a superhero name or a like alter ego name of this woman who is like safe and powerful and sexy and confident. What would her name be? Just make it up. It can be crazy. It can make sense. It doesn't have to make sense.
Oh, Crazy Jane. There you go.
Crazy Jane. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. 3 times, and this is part of the work that we do, is really to change the neural pathways. We have to have those intellectual ahas, but we also have to have a somatic piece, like that it involves embodiment. So what I want you to do is I want you to actually literally imagine that you're installing Crazy Jane, right? You've got this feeling of I am safe. So what I want you to do 2 to 3 times a day is stand up, ground yourself to the earth, and I want you to take on an embodiment of feeling and ask yourself, is it okay to feel safe if I am safe? And I want you to notice what happens in your body. And then I want you to like squeeze your fists over and over like you're blowing up like an air mattress or a big giant beach ball. And with every time you pump your fist, I want you to stand greater and greater and turn up the dial in the embodiment, the physical posture of safe, beautiful, powerful, Crazy Jane.
Yeah.
And then what I want you to do is I want you to repeat out loud, what are her beliefs? I am lovable. I am enough. I am smart. I am sexy. I have boundaries. Great men want to date me, right? Like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to do that. Set a timer, do it for like 2 to 3 minutes. I'm like, Dr. Love here, and do that 2 to 3 times a day.
Okay, yep.
So that when you're out dating and the gremlin, I call it that gremlin, comes around and starts to grab at your ankles and make you feel like you're not safe, literally all you'll have to do is just squeeze your fists a couple times.
Yep.
And it'll trigger that response in your brain in the neural pathways, right? Yep. And your shoulders are relaxed and you'll come up with this mantra. Is it okay to feel safe if I am safe? Yep, I'm safe. And notice what happens.
Oh, cool.
That helpful?
Yes, that is so easy to do, actually.
So easy. So easy.
Yeah.
So what's your takeaway? What's your sort of, what are you taking away, or what have you learned in this session today?
The biggest thing I think is that I am safe for me, because I've never felt safe in a relationship ever. And I've never felt like I could just be myself either. Ever. So it's very important to me that I feel safe. And I love the hero idea. I've already become my own hero. So yeah, the hero thing really hits home with me, resonates home with me. The exercises, they sound very easy to do, and I don't think it'll take me very long to feel like I'm safe at all.
That's awesome.
Other than that, yeah. Thank you so much for that. That just makes me feel so much better.
Yay! And it's really important, right? Like, and this is just for everyone who's listening. We like say like, oh, I've let go of my story, and I don't. It's like, okay, great. Then don't be that person anymore. Right? Like collect the evidence that like there's so much evidence of how Jane is different, like all these new skills she has, how she's applied them in her life. So once you let that go, right, and you really start living it, you no longer need to attract men that aren't safe. You don't need to practice that anymore. Jane doesn't, you don't, right? So, and the other piece that's really amazing about Jane is she's actually like done the work, right? So she said, like I've set boundaries. I am discerning. I do have an understanding of that I love myself. So if you're not there yet, right, this little strategy won't work. But if you have an understanding of it and you've done the work and you're just afraid, and fear is really what's getting in the way of you letting your heart open, right? Yeah. Then this will be a game changer. So I'm super excited to see what happens from here on out. Jane, will you keep in touch with us and let us know?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep, for sure.
Awesome.
For sure.
All right, ladies. Well, I hope that you are all going to go out there and discover who is your alter ego, who is your authentic self, your superhero, because she's in there and she's worthwhile and she's lovable and she's loving. So go out there, find her, and don't forget, date with dignity. We'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks for being here.